So welcome everybody to another episode of the J2 Hub podcast. Been pretty consistent with it this year. Got quite a few episodes in the bank, although they're probably not coming out at the correct times. But anyway, so today, listen, I'm joined by someone who I've been wanting to get on the podcast for a while, purely for some selfish reasons, because I just wanted to sit down and have a chat and pick this guy's brain. Now, I've said it many times before. Don't be fooled by the tan skin, the white teeth, the big muscles, and the Rolex on the wrist, because this guy is more than what you see appearance-wise. His brain goes proper deep. And you know what? Sometimes I'll have some mad conversations with this guy late at night or early in the morning. I can ask him a question and he always seems to have a solution. So I've known this guy for quite a while and we've become friends over the years. I've had the opportunity of speaking at some of his wonderful events, and what I really wanted to do was sit down with him, and I felt an hour's not going to be enough, so I've booked in 2 hours to make sure that I can really pick his brain and get some real solid information out to people. So today, guys, I'm joined by the one and only Charlie Johnson from CJ Coaching and the 7FSS system that he's developed. So Charlie, thank you first of all for coming to the J2 Hub podcast. Long time coming.
Yeah, thank you very much for the kind intro. And the tan is, I just got back from the Maldives, so it's like first world problems. And I think I've known James for a number of years. I think we first got introduced at an event. And one of the things I actually spoke to before we started this podcast is like the number one thing I think now in life, whether it's online or in person, is like trust. And I have explicit trust in you in terms of your knowledge, in terms of investing in property, which everyone listening to this should do as well. And that's really what people should be looking for in life, is to find people they can trust and they know the thing they're talking about. So whether it's you with real estate or me with building online businesses or fitness, when you find those people, like if you follow those people, they will help you to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've said it many times before. Success leaves clues, right? The people you surround yourself with, the circles that you're in. And I'm finding that more and more because I've been to a few of your events now. And, you know, I'm probably one of the cheeky ones who hasn't paid for the system. And I've been given access to some world-class people. And I'm not from the fitness industry, obviously, as you can tell. But the great thing is, when I'm in his space and I'm listening to these webinars, I'm there with my notebook taking notes because I'm getting nuggets from this guy, this guy, this guy. So the power this guy has in his network is phenomenal. And look, I want to start off quickly by having a quick, if you can give everybody a quick brief of where you've come from and where you are, a quick one, and then we'll go into some of the juicy stuff.
So I'm a former failed personal trainer who became a real estate agent, or estate agent, we're British people, not American. Estate agent, you talk to Americans. So former failed personal trainer, became an estate agent, managed a branch of estate agents for 7 years, set up an online business, sold $10 million worth of fitness programs online. We now also run 𝗬𝗶𝗫𝗀𝗃𝗃 system, which helps basically trainers and people grow online businesses to turn their passion into a profit and create financial freedom. And that's really like using the methods I've used in my own business and the skill set I've built up over the last few years. And that's why, for me, to help people achieve results like I have is pretty easy if you have the right character traits, which is why something we go into, but like fitness and business for me is so synergistic, because it's, if you're disciplined, consistent, and you can be like resilient, you can build a really good business. It's the same thing you need in terms of getting in shape. It's like delayed gratification for both as well.
I want to take you back, Charlie. So when you were growing up, mate, when you were in school, what were your thought patterns in your head? What were you thinking about life? Because I know when I was in school, I was always like, oh man, there's got to be more to life than just waking up, going to work, you know, saving a shitload of money, getting a mortgage, getting a nice car, and just being in this trap. And even now, to this day, I'm so self-critical in the sense that I'm thinking, there's got to be more, there's got to be more, there's got to be more. So in your early years or in your teens, when things started to click, what was your mindset like? What were you thinking?
I knew for me that what I didn't want to be normal, and the furthest thing I ever fucking wanted to do was be average and the same as everyone else. And probably when I was in like secondary school, 13 to 16, I found that difficult because I felt like I didn't fit the system, which is I think where people like me struggle in school, because it's like, I don't give a shit about fucking like completing an exam and getting an A, because like, what do I get at the end of a piece of paper? Like, I wanted to learn actual skills to like run a business, make money, be successful. That's all I ever wanted to do. I just didn't know how. And I think looking back on it, I think transparently, if I could have been parented different, which I was like, if I wasn't brought the way I was, I wouldn't be who I am. So I have to reverse engineer that to some degree. I would like to have been pushed and given more direction, which I think when I have children, I'm blessed enough to, my plan is to like mold myself into them to make them a better version of me. And I think that's where, for me, from a young age, I had big ambitions, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I think when I was 18, 19, I became qualified personal trainer. Did that for 6 months. I fucking hated it because I was just trading time for money and also just babysitting people who like just couldn't do hard things. I was like, this is just retarded. And then I ended up becoming a estate agent. And I enjoyed that because I learned business skills very, very quickly. And it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me in terms of like learning to manage teams, sales, managing different people, managing conflicts and awkward situations. And from that, I think I progressed to have quite a lucrative career for that as much as you can. But then I quickly realized like I had now built a box that I was imprisoned in 4 walls of an estate agent's office in a corporate business that like if I actually spoke about this on a podcast yesterday, I sat down and I worked out how much the managing director made of a company with like 1,000 employees. And I was like, the lifestyle I want to live, she doesn't earn enough.
Wow.
And I think now I earn more a month than she earned in a year in her salary. So it's like, and also in Dubai to pay tax, which is handy. So I think most people don't actually understand where they want to go or don't have a clear enough vision, and that's why people drift through life. And I think that clarity probably came to me later on from maybe 27. I realized like time's ticking, you need to pull the trigger and do something. Otherwise, what happens to most guys in particular is they get trapped in the point of, they get to my age now, I'm 34, 35, they've got a big mortgage, they've got 2 kids in school, they've got a wife, they're fucked. Not like fucked, but you can't, for you to pivot out of that situation is very, very hard at that point.
Sure.
Because you can't take risks because you've got a lot of responsibilities. So I think anyone who's listening to this who's younger or hasn't got huge responsibilities, if you don't take the risks now, then you'll never be able to.
Yeah, yeah. No, totally. I agree with you, man, because I was one of those people that had to pivot. I mean, I had the business that took me up to 29, 30 just as I got married, but then it went into a voluntary liquidation and bankruptcy. So I had to pivot from that point onwards. And my first son, I believe, had just been born. And you're right. When you get these responsibilities, even your own mind starts telling you like, no, James, you don't want to start a business. You don't need a hustle. Go and get a job that pays you 60 grand a year or whatever. You've got a mortgage that you can pay and just do this. But if you're one of those people that are wired differently, because I remember for 3 months I had to work for my friend and it wasn't a bad job, you know. He's given me a 6-figure salary, he's given me an expense card, and my only job was to go and entertain clients and bring them on. So people would think that's an ideal job, in bars, in pubs in London, entertaining, expensing, bringing them on as a client. But I just remember every morning getting on that tube and I'm holding that bar and it's packed. And I'm thinking to myself, fuck, man, you're like a monkey in a cage here. And I was speaking to my mum at the time and she's like, well, just get on with it, man. It's not a bad job. But inside me, anxiety every single morning on that 1 hour, 10-minute journey and the same on the way back. And I thought, nah, this shit needs to change. I need to pivot out of this. So I think when you say someone needs to do it when they don't have any responsibilities, I think you're 100% right there, man. Because it's like the minute you have a child, things change, or the minute you have a family, I think your whole mindset starts going a little bit differently and skew with as well.
Well, you have other responsibilities other than yourself. So if it all goes tits up, like you've got other people you have to care for, and I think that's when it's a different conversation and maybe a different judgment you should make. And that's personally one of the reasons for me where I'm like, the phase of life I'm in, I want to fix the financial box first and build myself to the person I want to be, and then I can focus on the family stuff later on and be a present father, husband, all that type of stuff. And I think that's where a lot of people aren't really focused on anything. You see people that they're shit at their job, they're a shit partner, and they're a shit dad. Whereas like the reality is they haven't got any area for their life sorted. And I like respectfully probably say a lot of the population is like that, where they haven't ticked any box. Where I think as a man, if you can tick your career, finances, and like be very, very stable and be able to do anything else from that point of view, not that money's everything, but it helps, it then makes it easier to be able to maybe attract the partner you want, or to provide for the family you want, or to be a present father because you're not having to work all the time or spend fucking 2 hours on the tube a day.
Yeah, sure.
And I remember when I was a estate agent, I spent 2 hours doing them 25.
Wow.
And but I made the most of that, in particular as I was trying to leave, because I'd spend that was like my education time. I listened to like Grant Cardone podcast, Gary Vee podcast, and like constantly trying to learn. So I was like trying to maximize my time while I was doing that. But I look back now and I'm like, I don't know how I did it, but for me, what keeps me motivated is that I never want to go back to that, because once you've like seen behind the curtain of like what the world looks like when you work for yourself and you have enough money to do what you want, you're like, that almost becomes imprisonment again.
Yeah. Do you think, I think you just said it there, do you feel, I don't know, actually it was in statistics, I may have heard it on 𝗬𝗲𝘀𝗀𝗲𝗃𝗀's podcast, and he said 97% of the world is just getting through the day and getting through life. They don't actually have a clue what they're doing. They think they're doing the right thing. There's no fixed plan. They're just plodding from day to day. I mean, being in the space that you are now, would you agree with that statistic, or would you?
I would say it's even higher than that. I would say people's subconscious mind just lets them repeat the same day on loop. They get up at the same time, they eat the same time, they brush their teeth the same way, they fucking eat the same thing, they sleep with the wife the same way. It's the same fucking shit. And I think that's the reality, that people just go into autopilot. And also, for anyone listening to this, the most important thing you can actually do as a skill is learn to reflect. So even like this morning, I'll sit there with my iPad, I have certain questions I ask myself on an app called Daily One or Daily Journal or something, and then I'll go through and ask myself questions and answer them, because it gives you the ability to reflect and think, how was yesterday? What am I wanting to do? Like, what are the goals I want to achieve in life? Like, and when you start to actually think like that, your actions start to change. But most people don't know what they want to achieve. Then they don't also know how they're going to get there, and they don't actually pay any attention to like almost auditing their time and what they do every day.
Sure.
And I think if you understood where you want to go and how you're going to get there, and then you actually look at what you do every day and like, fuck, I'm spending 4 hours a day commuting, and I also then go to the pub for 2 hours, and these are completely disillusioned with the actual goals I want, then this is the thing that's going to hold you back. And the way I'd even frame it for, like, I don't drink, and I haven't drunk for a long time, but I used to like video games when I was younger. Like, if people are like drinking, doing drugs and all this other type of stuff, it's like trying to play like the Grand Theft Auto of life in fucking like super hard mode.
Wow, I love that.
If you don't drink and then you keep yourself super healthy, you can think clearly, you've got loads of energy, it's like playing easy mode. And that's really where people don't understand, where they set themselves up for failure, because they're going to bed super late at night, eating shit food, their brain's fucked, and then they're drinking, they're also stressed, and it's just like their brain becomes this cesspool of a mess where they can't think clearly, and then they wonder why they make shit decisions, they also can't plan it forward.
No, that's good. I like what you said about Grand Theft Auto. So if you're not drinking, if you're not doing any of that silly stuff, what is the vice that Charlie has at the moment then? You must have something there.
For me, I enjoy reading, fitness, traveling. I think it's probably my big one. In food, but then everything has to be within some sort of moderation, right? Like, if you eat really healthy food that's amazing, but you eat too much of it, it's going to be a bad thing.
Sure.
If I spent all day reading and did nothing else, then that's going to be a bad thing, because then the work that I have to do gets done. If I didn't sleep at all, then that I wouldn't actually be able to perform at the level I need to. So then that becomes a priority. And I think people need to understand, like, the way I look at certain activities and what you do is like there's a plus monetary value attached to it. So say, for example, working or doing this podcast, say it's plus $100 an hour. I would also put sleeping and even traveling and enjoying yourself plus $100 an hour, because it gives you energy. But then if you're going to go and eat junk food, or you're going to hang around with negative people, or you're going to drink alcohol, it's going to be like minus $100 an hour. And if you just focus on like the plus tasks all the time, it's that like compound effect.
Sure.
And then these things work together like a force multiplier, right? So it's like, if you're healthier, you surround yourself with positive, smart people, and then you're not like drinking, and you're also sleeping properly, like you then start to get into that really important loop, which is when you get success, it gives you confidence. When you get more confidence, it again gives you more success. And it loops and loops and loops, and that's how you complete life, because you get into that type of momentum. The problem is most people don't ever get the first bit of success to get the confidence, because they fuck themselves over with what they're doing with their daily habits beforehand.
So what you're saying is you want to be more plus 100s than minus.
Just like anything that's a minus, if you pull them out of your life, it's like, again, playing the world of like life on easy mode instead of hard mode.
Yeah, okay. Something you touched upon there, that you said that you reflect every morning on your iPad. How important do you think, I mean, journaling is something I love doing. I've been doing it for years. How important do you think journaling is? Because I've had mixed views from people.
It depends in what respects. I think, again, I don't know why this makes me think this straight away. It's like people who keep a diary like fucking like a teenage girl of like, my partner said this, my kid said that, like, that's bullshit. So, but like, in terms of like constructively, you want to be almost, the way I try and think is like coaching myself. So I ask myself questions of like, first thing would be like, what are the goals I want to achieve in life, ? And I'll like write them down. Like, I have X amount of net worth, I drive X car, I have this type of family, in present tense, because when you say things and write things to yourself that you've already achieved it, your subconscious mind starts to believe it. The second thing I write is, in terms of like yesterday, did I live in congruence with what I want to achieve? So like, what did I do yesterday? Okay, I ate this I shouldn't have eaten. I'm on a diet at the moment. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I spoke to someone this way. Maybe I shouldn't have done that because that's not the type of person I want to be. This I did really, really well, and like actually evaluate. And then if the other questions to look into is like, what am I doing today that I can reflect on and actually improve on? Like, and then literally just go through questions and answers with myself in terms of like not mainly 6 to 8, and then just have open feedback to like write how I feel.
Sure.
Like if you feel stressed about something, write it down. If you feel great about something, write it down. Because what the most powerful thing is this: when you look back in a week's time, you're like, yeah, I was really stressed because my Instagram account got disabled last week, and now I'm like, oh, fuck shit. Like, it's like you realise that when you have problems, is like, is it going to matter in 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 months, 5 weeks, 5 years, whatever? Like, if it's not going to matter in 5 years' time, it's probably not that important.
Sure. Are you asking yourself the same questions every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it like formatted out as a template, and then I just like fill it in.
Because what I do is, like you said, I've been doing it for years. I call it more of a brain dump. Every morning, the first task is, after I've walked the dog, is journal. Now I'm going through this journal now. Like you said, if I look back through, I like to randomly pick an old journal off the shelf, and I'll go back and look at the page, and I'm like reading this problem, and I'm thinking one in particular a couple of years ago, I'm like, if this bridging loan doesn't come through, I'm fucked. You know, if I don't get a refinance at the end of it, I'm going to lose this. I've got a debenture across my whole company. I could be bankrupt again. And I could feel like those feelings at the time. But I'm also looking at it from an overview and thinking now, you little pussy, you were crying about those things and you got through that challenge. So now when I'm looking at another property deal here in Dubai, which the renovation space is all very new to me, I'm thinking, man, I got to take this loan. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. And my brain's automatically going back to how I tackled those problems there. And suddenly now these new problems are seeming like they're a lot easier because I've gone back and been able to kind of take those emotions again and think, okay, this is how you dealt with it at the time. And you just need to put those same things in place here and you overcome these problems.
And well, that's confidence because you've seen the success you had before overcoming challenges. Then you're like, well, fuck, I dealt with all this stuff before, so then why can I not deal with this again?
Sure.
And it's the same thing of like, when I was a kid, I thought life experience was bullshit, but then every year I find life gets easier and easier because you've got more experience and more resilience, and like, yeah, well, I dealt with that problem before, so this is not an issue, and this is what I did, this is how I handled it. And the reality, like, we have like a reptilian brain from like thousands of years ago that automatically shits itself when it thinks something's wrong, like going wrong, and like, that's where our ability to use our conscious mind to override that is an important thing, so you can understand that, okay, this is happening, it's not ideal, but here's a plan to actually deal with it. And like, the best thing that I'm a huge advocate for anyone with when they have any type of challenge is like action beats anxiety. So I would literally get pen and paper and literally just write, okay, this is the problem I have, how can I overcome this, and how can I see a benefit out the back end of it? So for example, say my Instagram account got disabled last week, I literally sat there on a plane with my iPad and was like, cool, so like, what can I do? What benefit can I see out of this? What can I do in terms of lead generation to like fix this? I said, okay, we'll set up a new account, get that launched straight away. We'll do a giveaway on that account. I'll do this on some other accounts I have. We'll use LinkedIn for this. And by the end of it, now I have my account back. We're in a better position than we were beforehand. And that's how a lot of the time, particularly anyone listening to this as an entrepreneur, we have aces up our sleeve that we don't even pull out because it's too easy. And sometimes you need to have pressure on you to be like, to pull out the fucking genius you have within you. And I think one of the things that Russell Branson talks about a lot, Richard Branson, Russell Branson's cliffhanger, Richard Branson from like the Virgin Group talks about a lot. It's like when you have a problem, it's like you hit the 4 walls. And it's you get your laptop, you get a fucking notepad, you sit in a room with 4 walls and you just fucking sit there and work it out. And that's like the solution of everything is within your brain, but your limiting beliefs a lot of the time don't let you see it, or like your fear of failure or fear of trying something you haven't done before like throttles you.
Sure. I always say when your back's right up against the wall, you can't keep going backwards, you know, because that wall's stopping you. So you've got to work a way out of going forward, you know. And I think you're right, that it's that fear thing that kicks in. And like you said, those aces that you had up your sleeve, now that plan that you put out, what you were going to do because you lost your Instagram account, the minute you got your Instagram account back, what happened to that list?
Oh, it was all done anyway. So like this is this is a beauty when you have a business. I was like, but this is also the point for anyone listening who has a business, you have to be a leader. It's like when shit hits the fan, people look for you for a response. And I'll give a very strange scenario which I've never come across in business and probably not many people have, and it's quite a sad one. So the guy who was the head coach of our mastermind was a guy called 𝗙𝗰𝗲𝗂𝗧𝗂𝗧, who unfortunately passed away. He drowned on holiday in Costa Rica. So I wake up and like, I don't know, so it's Tuesday morning at like 5:30 a.m. And I looked at my phone. You shouldn't do that first thing, but I think I opened my phone. I saw a message on Slack from a client randomly. I was like, "What the fuck is he messaging me for?" And he was like, "Have you heard about 𝗬𝗂𝗏?" And like fucking instantly, I was like, I knew something had happened. And so I opened my phone. I was like, loads of messages. Obviously, what had happened. But I'm like, shit. So I'm really upset about this guy who I'm really close with is now passed away. I then have a massive problem in my business. Like the head person of the entire thing is now like gone. So like you're in this weird fucking situation where like, okay, you've got a big hole in your business. You're upset and grieving because your friend's passed away, who was like a mentor to you. And like the weird way my brain thought is like, fuck, this is an example to show how good you are as a leader and like an example of how good you are as an entrepreneur. And by the end of that day, we had a better team than we had before.
Wow.
And we put the business in a better position by like pivoting around that. And that's where you can take a shit situation and then also see the best out of it. And I think a lot of people in that type of situation sometimes procrastinate with dealing with their problem. So like the gut reaction of like, you know, like fight or flight. Most people will go to the flight reaction and get upset and cry and don't deal with anything for fucking like 5 days. My thing is like, we'll deal with the fucking problem. I'll fix this now, because people who work for you and all clients are going to be looking for like, what's going on here? Like, what's going to be the solution? And then you can then grieve afterwards once that's sorted.
Sure. Wow, what a situation to be in. Yeah, I remember when that happened, actually. I remember you talking about it at an event and how it shook things up. 27. You're 27, and you said you realised that you're in this box and there's only so far you can go. So what did you do at that stage? Did you just quit your job, or...?
So the most stupid thing I would say to anyone they can do is quit their job and just go like, the dumbest here I think I hear from anyone who's a fitness trainer is like, I'm going all in to be an online coach. I'm like, okay, cool. So what are you going to do? It's like, I don't know yet. I'm like, what's the fucking... I was like, okay, so this is not good at this. So, and this is not for people to give me money. They can give whoever they want money. But like the best thing to do, and what I did, is I built a 𝗬𝗏 side hustle of my business online whilst I was an estate agent. And then my salary gave me safety, provided for my lifestyle, whatever I wanted, and also good fun building the business. I then basically built the business to a point I was earning like 3 times as much from that as I was from my estate agency job, and then I fucked that off. And one of the best moments of my life is, anyone who listens to works in estate agents will understand this. 50% of your salary is commission. You don't get commission if you give your notice in. So what I did is, I was like, well, fuck, I'm not working for a month for half price. So the day I got paid, I went in, just got my shit and left. And then my area manager called me when I got home and was like, she's like, where are you? You can't do this, you can't just leave. And I was like, yeah, I can. I was like, I can do whatever I want now. I do whatever you want. And then I was like, it really dawned on me. I was like, holy shit. It's like, I never ever have to listen to anyone ever again.
Yeah.
As long as I back myself and work really fucking hard. And like, you live by the sword and you die by the sword, but as long as you're willing to like take that responsibility, life is then your own playground. Like, you can go wherever you want, do whatever you want, be whoever you want. And that's where you almost let loose of the fucking golden handcuffs of like the well-paid job you had before to then get like the fucking bulletproof lifestyle you always wanted, and actually really create financial freedom, because job stands for just over broke. Like, you can't actually like create a significant amount of money in a well-paid salary. And I remember when I worked in estate agency, I remember a guy who was like one of the head guys in Barclays. His salary was £1 million a year. I remember seeing one of his pay slips and I was like, fuck, the tax on that was wild. And he didn't even make that much in terms of how much he took home. And then his expenses in terms of where he was renting, in terms of the house, I was like, he's like top 0.1% in the world in terms of salaries, probably like more. And had a really stressful fucking lifestyle, and it's like, dude's not even making that much money.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's crazy, isn't it? When you look at the pay slips and actually how much you take home. Wow. So when you jacked it all in, I know what that feeling's like, because I remember when I was 23 or 24, I was working as a teacher. So I was a qualified high school teacher, and and I'm teaching graphic design. And I remember this South African woman who was my head of department. She wasn't even qualified. She'd really fucked things up. We had an inspection coming up, and she comes into the classroom on a Thursday just after lunch, and she goes, can you come in on Saturday this week, because we need to catch up with shit. And I'm thinking to myself, I've worked my nuts off to get my qualifications. You're here, unqualified. You fucked things up, and you want me to come in on a Saturday. And I'm sitting there. And I said, look, I'll let you know. Let me see if I can make some arrangements. And then I'm on my laptop, and I had a side hustle going as well. So I was selling stuff I was selling print on eBay. And I'm looking at my eBay account thinking, there's $6,000 in there, $7,000 in there. Like, we're doing sales. And something come over me, and I just thought, fuck this, I'm out of here. Like mid-flow lesson, kids I'm teaching. Now this is an all-boys school.
In the middle of the lesson you left?
Yeah. This is an all-boys school in East London. It's a failing school, so you can imagine. It's predominantly Asian and black kids. Really, I actually got on with them because I could relate to them, but the class is wild. Just imagine, it's like a fucking zoo. And your graphic design, you got knives out and all kinds of shit. I got up. I went into the storeroom. I remember this cardboard box that when you buy A4 paper, it comes in this cardboard box. I had an empty box. I went over to my desk. I just went like this with my arm. I put all my shit in there, put my laptop in there, and I just walked out. My car was parked right outside the classroom, and it's a sunny day at an old Saab 900 convertible. I got my box. I'm walking out like this, and the kids go, "Where you going?" I said, "I quit. I'm out of here." They're all on their desk like this. Hey! I walk into the car. I walk out. I get into the car, and that's it. I quit. And I remember getting this phone call from the head teacher. He goes, "Might I remind you that, sir, you're under contract with us?" I said, "Might I remind you that you never actually gave me a contract to sign, so I'm not on contract under you." I said, "Don't ring me again." And I remember this immense feeling of joy. Like I'm like, fuck, I'm free. And then straight after that, this thing kicks in where you're like, oh shit, now it's me, myself, and I got to make this work. And then I thought to myself, fuck, now I've got to go and explain this to my mum that I've just quit my job and I've just taken a mortgage for $388,000 and I've got 26 days to make my next mortgage payment. And I thought, no, I can do this. But before I went to speak to my mum, I popped into the pub, had a few drinks, Dutch courage. I go up to her, shit hits the fan, and she just fucking went crazy at me like, oh, how can you do this? You had a great job, you had a great career, you was building things, you was going to get married and all this. And I just remember thinking, no, man, I'm out. I just felt like someone had cut these chains off, and now I was fully in control of what I was going to do. So I relate to that feeling where you think, okay, yeah, I'm free, but at the same time, there's that fear that kicks in as well.
It's a strange feeling. I filmed a video straight after it, and I actually played it at one of our events, and I don't know why I filmed it. I just like knew this was like there's a saying, like an inflection point, like one of the points in life you make that completely changes the fucking trajectory of everything. Yeah. And I think that is no one really understands that feeling unless you've been there. Because I know what you're feeling, and like
I can still feel it now.
It's like excitement, fear. You're shitting yourself, but like you're excited. And the way I looked at it, I felt like fucking 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Dubai is like, well, fuck it, like I'm in, like I'm going, like I burnt the bridges, there's no fucking going back. And then the reality is it's like, you don't know where you're going to end up in 10 years, which I also think is quite an interesting thing, because when you have a conventional career path like estate agent, teacher, it's like you stay there to like 20 years, you then become like partner, you get an extra 20 grand a year, cool, and then like that's it, you retire, you have a fairly shit house, you have a fairly average lifestyle, it's like, and then you die. Yeah. And then you give all your money to the government when you die. Yeah. And it's like, is that what I want to do, or would I rather go and be like Frodo Baggins off to Dubai and go and do this weird online shit and like try and make stuff happen? And I think not enough people try hard enough to go and do that. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily for everyone, but not even necessarily that you have to be the main person, the number one person in that business. But a lot of people like do very well as the number 2, 3, 4, or 5 working for someone like that, and also have a great lifestyle and can also live wherever the fuck they want. And I think like even for people who work for me, like some of the best people who work for me started in like the lowest positions, but they proved themselves and they had the right character traits and they worked really, really hard. And like I could see things in them. They're like, yeah, you could build this person into something and they could be really pivotal for you. So for anyone who's listening to this, who's young, like the best thing you can do is if you find someone who's like really good as an entrepreneur, if you can just try and get into their ecosystem and work for them, they fucking love people like that. I love people like that. Yeah. Because like I almost want to groom them to be like, this kid's sick, he's got a drive and work ethic, like he can be someone who can help me to then do what I want, and then I can help him as well.
No, I like that. So for everyone listening, or anyone listening right now thinking, oh fuck, I'm going to jack my job in, man, I want to feel that feeling that James and Charlie are feeling, I want that excitement, what would your advice be to him? Because I know what I'd be saying to him right now.
Have some type of fucking plan. So like get a skill, get traffic to get people to see you have a skill, and then sell the skill essentially. Yeah. And the reality is you have to like be good at something that you can then sell. And by good, it doesn't mean like you have to be, though fitness doesn't mean you have to be like Mr. Olympia, but it means like can you help the younger version of yourself, for example? What problems have you solved yourself before that you could help someone else solve? Whether it's getting shape, could be drug addiction, it could be building businesses, could be whatever. And once you then, okay, cool, there's a market for this. The second thing I'll do is I'll look, it's like, is anyone else doing this and making money? Because like proof of concept is a big thing, right? Like if someone else is doing it, then that means you can do it too. And then the third thing I would do is like, who can I learn from and who can teach me to then do the thing? Because the most valuable thing you have is time, not money, but most people have that the wrong way around because they print money, they don't print time. And if you get the right information, money isn't a problem, you can make more of it, and then you can also leverage it and make the money have babies and multiply itself, but you can't do that with time. So the important thing I would do is like, okay, like who am I, what do I like doing, what am I good at, like what's the skill I have, how can I get traffic to find out about that skill, and then like basically ask people to work with me. And then I would find someone who's done the thing I want to do and probably absorb all of their fucking content, everything they books, podcasts, or whatever it might be, and then pay that person to teach you. Because that's how you get ahead really quickly. And like, I'm going to California on Monday for a mastermind for 3 days to like constantly learn. And like anyone you see who's successful, they spend a huge amount of money and time in learning. And people might say like, I don't have the money and time. Well, I didn't either at the beginning, but I made it fucking work. And the reality is that if you're not willing to put something into it or risk into it, someone else will, and someone else will beat you. I think if you look at business in particular, it's player versus player. Like if you're starting a business, you're competing directly with someone else. If they're better than you and know more than you, who's going to win? They're going to win.
Absolutely, yeah. I think all I would add to that is I have people asking me all the time, James, I want to get into the real estate space in Dubai. You know, I see it's quite easy to get into. All I say to people is like, look, have a plan, but also if you're coming out here, make sure you got 6 months or 12 months worth of money put aside so you've got breathing space, because the worst thing you want to do is quit your job and go into something and then you're more panicked about making money, and then you're going to make all the wrong decisions and you're just going to be back to square one, applying for a job and 6 months later and working for someone.
Like, I enjoyed agency in a lot of respects and was really good at it. And like part of my retarded brain was like, maybe I'll set up another business and do that. And I was like, if I was going to do that, what I would do, I would probably try and work for someone for 3 months to pay, basically for them to pay me to learn. I'll see how the systems work. And then I'd fuck off and go and do my own thing and just take the systems. And that's what people don't understand also, is like if you have a job, then that's an opportunity for you to get paid to learn, but just make sure it's a job where you're actually learning something.
Sure.
Whereas a lot of people have like a career where like the people around them are melts, they're not like really achieving anything and they're not driven. Whereas I remember when I first started my career in estate agency in the UK, it was originally a privately owned business by 2 brothers who were very fucking driven. They'd be in there at like 7:15 in the morning grinding, and like I saw what good looked like and I saw what it took to be successful at a young age. And then I realized, okay, cool, that's how you run a business and that's how you become successful. And I think in some respects it's a lot of blunt fucking force to like get things to work and to get that momentum. But most people are like, they have the 9 to 5 mentality, but it's their own business. It's like, dude, it doesn't fucking work like that.
Yeah.
Like no matter how many employees and staff you have, like even like my own business, we have 47 team members, but it's like shit's on my shoulders still when things are going wrong. Because they're like, Charlie, what do we do? Yeah. So like the buck stops with you always because you're the one paying the bills.
No, I agree. So look, you're a guy that makes a lot of decisions, you know, and one thing I love about what you say always to people is take action now. And, you know, sometimes you got to sacrifice things. Now, I know this story, but I want to touch on it. When you left the UK to come to Dubai, you made some serious sacrifices, right? You made some decisions that people will think, man, this guy's ruthless. He don't give a fuck. But I could see why those decisions were made, because I remember we met the evening that you were flying out to Dubai, and I remember you turned up, you had your white Montclair coat on, the puffy thing, and these lovely 𝗬𝗰𝗲𝗀𝗁𝗲 shoes. But you were upset inside. I could see that through your eyes. I could see this guy's upset. But you still presented, and then afterwards you told us that you made some firm decisions. Do you mind sharing what those decisions were? Because for me at the time, I was like, wow, man, he's got balls.
I think that's, so when I said inflection point, that's probably the biggest one I had. Well, yeah, I'd say it's the biggest one. So I was in a 12-year relationship, married for maybe 3-4 years, and I had come to the decision I fucking hate the UK. I didn't like it there, and I wanted to move to Dubai. And I also knew me moving to Dubai was the thing that was going to take me to the next level. from many different reasons, from the network, me being happier, better mindset, not paying taxes, obviously a huge advantage because that was going to fuck me in the end. And I came to the decision where I was like, I said to my wife at the time, I was like, I'm going here, you can come with me or you can stay here. Like, that's the choice. Like, that's it. And she wanted to stay and I wanted to go, and then that's it. So I was like, okay, well, that day I ended up going to fucking move into the Kingston Hilton Hotel. I was like, this is fun. And the next day I had to pack up all my shit and then basically give away my house in the UK that I'd been paying for the last 5-7 years. And then what even gets better, the day after that, my Instagram account got disabled, which at the time was like 70% of my income. So I'm like, fuck. So it's like, my personal life's pretty fucked. My business is now fucked. I'm staying in this hotel, and this happened 5 minutes before I was going to speak on someone's podcast. It's probably the worst podcast I've ever done. I can't remember what it was. And I think what was funny, not that anything about the story is funny, but I think just before I spoke at your event, I was in a coffee shop somewhere in fucking central London, and my Instagram account came back, and I was like, fucking yes. And that's the funny part of the story I remember. But the reality of life is that, like, for you to be really successful, it's not about addition, it's about subtraction. You have to take things away necessarily to then get to the next level. And as harsh as this sounds, for you to get to the next level, I feel you almost have to destroy a part of you to build the next part of you to get to where you want to be. And a lot of people aren't willing to pay that price, and I can understand why. But the reality is that you have to make uncomfortable decisions. And that's when I say to people is like, I'm fucking ruthless as it fucking needs to be if it comes to it. Like, I don't care. Like, if I have something I want to do and I believe it's the right thing, like, I'll see it through no matter what. And the reality is with that, I think that I remember one of the most defining things I think my dad ever said to me, this was probably about 2 years ago, maybe 18 months ago. He was like, it's incredible what's achieved, but it's cost you fucking a lot. And it was like, it was a very strange statement because probably subconsciously I've always been very driven to try and achieve success to get praise from my father.
Sure.
But then it was a bit of a double-handed fucking comment in terms of like, you've done all this, but you've also like fucked all this other stuff up to go and do it.
He cheered you up and gave you a slap at the same time.
I was like, that's interesting. And I think about that a lot sometimes. But I think also for me, with that difficult decision, that was the mental thing in terms of my head of like, well, I'm fucking all in now. Like, I'm going to make this happen and be super successful because I've already sacrificed so much to do it. And that's when I know, when I speak to people, I know if someone's willing to sacrifice things or not, because people have to make difficult decisions in life. And for you to get to where you want to be, you're going to have to sacrifice stuff. Like, today's a Saturday morning, we're doing a podcast here, and I chose to be here, and I want to be here, and I'm very present in this. But I could be sitting on the beach fucking sunbathing or do whatever I want. Like, my choice is to work and to do things because I take fulfillment and enjoyment from that. And it's the reality that people have to understand that I'm now happy in the situation I am in life, but that's because of all the decisions I've made previously. And if someone's in a situation in life they're not happy with, then that's because of the choices made to get to that point. So if you've got a shitty marriage, you've got a shit house, you've got a shit job, and you've got no money, there's no one else you can look at except for the man in the mirror, because your decisions every day have led you to that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you have the ability to change it, right? It's easy for you to chop something out. And if it needs to be as harsh as that, let it be harsh as that. And I know I've said to a few of my friends in the past, I said, look, you chose to marry crazy. And she is fucking crazy, and everybody told you she was crazy. So for you to now go to the next stage, you got to either get crazy fixed, which is going to be difficult, or you get rid of crazy and get to where you need to go.
One thing I like a lot about you is you have a family, a very solid relationship. And I think one of the things I've also noticed that hanging out a lot, particularly in Dubai, a lot of entrepreneurs who are very successful, a lot of them, in particular in the 30s, tend to be single because they're in a similar mindset to me to some degree, where they're trying to focus on being the greatest version of themselves, and having other people in that environment, you can't necessarily be able to be the person you need to be. If I'm fucking all in here, I can't be all in here and then be also spending 30% of my week with my partner, keeping her entertained. And like, it's just a reality of what it is, because the person who's 100% in is going to beat you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's also the choice that everyone has to make. And there's not a right or a wrong answer. But for me, I just go with the flow of like, how do I feel? Do I want to do this? Do I enjoy it? And that might piss people off all the time. But it's like, if I want to do something, I do it. And if I don't want to do something, I won't. And it comes back to what we said earlier. That's the thing I said earlier. It's like, when I quit my job, I never have to listen to anyone again. I don't. I go my gut feeling of like, this is the vision and goals I have for my life. This is what I want to achieve. Do I want to go to this thing right now? Or do I want to go and work on my business? Do I want to go and do this podcast? Do I want to do whatever? Like, choice is yours.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with being selfish, right?
No. You have to be... as a man in particular, you have to be selfish to be selfless, because if you become the greatest version of yourself, you can then become the greatest husband, father, provider, and then become the person like your kids look up to, your wife looks up to. And respectfully, in my opinion, I don't think any woman is going to take their partner seriously if he folds and doesn't stand by his guard of what he fucking says.
Yeah, you're right. You know, and I like what you said there. You appreciate that I've got a family, kids and all that. And it ain't easy. I mean,
100%.
we've just started a new agency here in Dubai, you know, real estate agency, got an office. And I get a call last night, it's Friday, from my wife at 7:10 in the evening. She goes, James, where are you? I said, I'm still in the office. She goes, have you seen what time it is? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, when are you coming home? I said, I don't think I'm going to be back till at least 9:30, 10 o'clock. She goes, but it's a Friday night. And I'm like, in my head, when you've been married 16 years, you know how to combat an argument. In my head, I'm thinking, what just shut the fuck up. You know, we've just been away for 3 weeks. I spent over 20 grand on a holiday. I was with you every minute of the day. And I told you on the plane, when I come back, I need to go for broke, because for me, this is a new business. This is not something that's been established for 10 years. And I'm getting irate on this phone thinking, God, woman, you know, you need to understand that if you want those things, I've got to really put the fucking graft in now.
It's a sacrifice.
Absolutely. And she's like, yeah, well, we were all away for 3 weeks. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm not going there. I'm not having this argument, you know, and I just had to put the phone down. But it's still, those things still kick in. Like, you think, not everybody understands it. And even your partner sometimes doesn't understand it, you know?
The most difficult thing about entrepreneurship is no one will understand.
Yeah.
And that's why I said a minute ago, the statement that like, I'll just do what I want because people won't understand me anyway. And people don't know the pressures that come with like you having big goals of what you want to achieve in your agency, or me having big goals in my business of what I want to do, and the responsibility that comes with that. Like, I can't help if fucking shit goes wrong and there's problems to deal with. Like, I can't help my Instagram account gets disabled the way I'm going to fucking Maldives to switch off for 4 days. That shit happens, but it's my welcome to the roller coaster of entrepreneurship. Shit happens at the worst times, you have to deal with it. And I think that's also where, respectfully for any women listening to this, they struggle sometimes to understand the concept for that. Unless I think it's women who tend to have quite a lot of masculine energy can understand that, because I'm not a big believer in happiness, I'm a believer in fulfillment. So men get fulfilled from seeing progression. Yeah. Progression makes you happy, like quote, quote, happy. I'm not just happy sitting on the beach, fucking sitting in the sun, looking at the sky. Like, I'm happy when I feel like I'm moving forward, I'm achieving stuff and helping other people. And I think that's where it's your choice to be in the office at 7:30 p.m. because you want to do it and you enjoy it, and you can also see you're excited for the vision of what you want to be.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that for me is like, I'm a builder. I like building shit, and that's what makes me excited. It's like, I come up with an idea and a thought, and I put it to reality, and it works. Man, that's fucking dope. Yeah. Like, that's what I like doing, and that's what, like, see me excited talking about it. And that's when you have like your form of art or expression is that. And I think that's where people see that you're slogging yourself to death working, whereas like work is like a form of play for me in terms of like, I get to be creative, think, and problem solve. Yeah. And it's like I get to play with my big red shiny toy business every day, and that's the thing I like to do.
Yeah, there's no one's forcing you to do it, right? You want to do it. Yeah, I think, you know, with relationships, I mean, I've been married 16 years, and I'm not going to sit here and say I got the perfect marriage, because I haven't. You know, when we first started, there was a lot of difficulties, you know, because the thing I've got to give my wife is, from the day she married me, that is the day I had a business, you know. And I always said to her very early on, I said, listen, my number one baby is my business.
This is what I said in my current relationship. I said in my current relationship, this is a good thing to talk about. So when I first got married, I had a proper job, I was a normal person, and I had 9 to 5 and all this other type of shit, right? Well, 8 till 6:30, it's longer hours. And that's why I understood that when I've become this other person, because who you were at 19 to who you are, whenever, how old was that time, like 30 odd, you're a complete different person. And that's why I understood, okay, you want to have a family, you want to stay where your parents are from, you want to stay in that local area. I want to fucking gallivant around the world, do all this crazy shit. There's also, when I went into my next relationship, I was like, the first thing for me is business success, second thing is myself, and third thing could be you. Yeah. And that will never change. Yeah, no, I like that. Do you know who else said that on the podcast? Akash from R&T said the same thing. He said for him, it was business, then it was it was health, it was his business, then it was his family. And one thing he said that was very interesting, he goes, throughout the year, these things rotate. So if the business is doing really, really well,
the family becomes number
100%.
one because I'll spend a lot more time on this area. He goes, and then if I'm in prep for something, or when he went full vegan, he went all in on the health because he wanted to change things around. And it was really interesting that there was only 3 things there. There was no more than 3 things. And these things are chopping and changing and going through. And even him, I think at the time he said that, look, the business was the most important thing because at that particular time, because it was giving him the lifestyle to do all the extra things with the family.
And that's where you have seasons of life, and I look at like my seasons in the year, where I have phases where I work really fucking intensely, and then I have phases where I like pull back a bit. And I think sometimes those seasons are forced upon you because market shifts, maybe you have to try and solve problems. And the 3 basic things that every human being wants is health, wealth, and family.
Yeah.
And that's the only 3 things. And I think without, I'm not going to say, you can't say that, but like without health, you're dead. Without money, you basically dead.
Yeah.
So like family's one you like for periods, not you should, but you can be put on pause because without the other 2, you literally are fucked.
Yeah.
So like that has to come first because if you're not the healthiest, best version of yourself who can financially support himself and other people, then the family thing doesn't work anyway.
Mm.
So like that always has to be the priority in my opinion, because you can't be a great husband or father if you've got no money and you're really out of shape and really unhealthy.
Of course.
So like if you get those things locked in, then the rest becomes easier.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. And the fact that you're doing it, someone like him's doing it, it's it's a testament to people who are both successful. Something I witnessed the other day with my son, my youngest son. So he's been playing football. He's not very good at football. So I thought to myself, now what do I do to change the situation? I pulled him out of a club and I got him some one-to-one coaching.
Exactly what I would have done.
That word coaching. Now, I know it works, and being around you guys, I know coaching works. And I know coaching works for your clients because some of your clients have become my clients. And I took him to his first lesson, and he still struggled with the coach. But one thing I could see in this coach was he was really patient. He really knew what he was doing. And that's probably why a reason he coaches 80 kids every single month. Second session, I decided to stand back and watch from a distance, let him carry on so dad's not around. Now, the third session, the gym's right opposite. So I'm on this treadmill just doing a cardio uphill walk, and I'm watching him. And I've got this big smile on my face, and I'm getting emotional. And then I'm messaging my wife at the same time. I said, look, I'm on this treadmill getting emotional watching JV play football. She goes, what the fuck's wrong with you? And I go, it's connecting. She goes, what's connecting? I said, finally, his footwork's connecting. He's turning correctly. He's actually shooting into the goal. It doesn't look like he's got 2 left feet. And then I thought to myself, James, this is power of coaching with a 7-year-old, and it's all clicking. And then I thought to myself, yeah, this is expensive, but I don't give a fuck because now I'm thinking, I found the formula that's going to make him into a better football player. Now, I'm not blind. I don't think he's going to be any Ronaldo or anything, but I still want him to play with his friends and still be someone who can kick the ball around and be pretty decent. Which leads me nicely onto my next question, coaching. Obviously, it's something you do in a massive way, and there's CJ Coaching as well, and 7FSS. How important do you think coaching is for somebody who's just starting out or somebody who's trying to go into something new? And would you say if someone had £10,000-20,000 right now, should they invest that into their business or should they invest that into themselves and go into some kind of coaching?
Why do you think people fail?
Because they don't know what they're doing.
I would say that's partly one of them. The other one is they don't have any confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And people get confidence when they start to see success and progress, and also because they don't know what they're doing, they don't have any confidence. It's like you're running around with a fucking blindfold on.
Sure.
So the answer is yes, because if you don't know what to do and you don't know how to do it, and you've also, when you're a beginner at something, you're always going to be shit because you've never done it before.
Yeah.
It's like when I first did sales calls, I was terrible. I was like awful. Now I'm really, really good. And when I first made content, I was shit. Like when you first do anything, you're going to be bad, but it takes a certain amount of volume to get better at the skill. But the reality is with most people is they give up before they get the skill. But if you've got someone who's coaching you, they can like shorten that time horizon so you suddenly get a win. And the most important thing you then get is self-belief. And it's that confidence then breeds success breeds confidence loop that then gets you going. So like the best thing anyone can ever do to get themselves ahead in life, like you have done with your son, which is a beautiful story, is just pay someone to teach you the thing, and then you've acquired that skill, because life is a game of skill acquisition. And they also work like a force multiplier. When you learn different skills, they bounce off each other. So like, even if you use just your son as an example, if you got him a coach to help play football, if you got him, for example, a coach to help him to maybe run better, be faster, like whatever, he's got more skillful as a player, he's more athletic, those two work together, right?
You know what? It's really weird you say that, because his running was something I was looking at the other day thinking, he's not really a good runner. He runs like his mum.
That's technique.
Yeah, but now you just said that, I'm going to get him a running coach.
Because no one's taught him to. And the same thing if you don't know what you don't know. So if you learn those skills earlier, the longer you can reap the rewards from them.
Sure. So tell me something. Your coaching program, now I want you to tell me these stories, because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen some people achieve phenomenal success. I'm talking money being made in a month that some people couldn't make in a year. I've also seen people that I don't really want to name. In fact, I do want to name some names that have come onto the coaching program, and it's not that the program don't work, it's they don't work, and then they try to make sure, they try to point it towards you, say, oh no, the program don't work, it's bullshit. No, you don't work, this works. Tell me what your program gives people. I mean, I like I said, I've seen it firsthand, but for anybody listening who may be in the fitness industry thinking, you know what, I want to go and find out more about what Charlie does. Or if you're a personal trainer in the gym, and like Charlie said earlier, you can't buy more hours. You can only do certain hours of training, and you want to get into this space. What does your program give somebody?
Basically the blueprint of how I've sold $10 million of fitness programs, plus the actual team who helped me build that business, help people one-to-one. Which is why when people say, like, I can't do it doesn't work, I don't have time, I'm like, fucking bullshit, because I did it.
Yeah.
And these are the exact, like, the scripts we use, here's the type of content, people helping you one-to-one. It is physically fucking impossible this doesn't work, and I say it with 1,000% certainty in my voice, because it's worked for so many people now. It's at that point where it's retarded it doesn't work. It's the same thing as, like, people when they want to lose weight, it doesn't, like, a calorie deficit doesn't work when you don't fucking stick to it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as, like, your business doesn't grow when
I'll
you
vouch
don't,
for that.
yeah, when you don't do your thing, right? You don't post the content, you don't message people, like, and that's for me is where it's very simple, because I look at a great example is 𝗬𝗲.
I was just thinking about her, yeah.
She actually messaged me on the way here. So she's, I think it was like 26th or something. She's done $150,000 this month so far at 24 years old.
She's broke the 137.
As
wow.
a girl who lives in Dubai, so she might do $200,000 in a month this month. And that's a girl who's 24, I think has been doing it online for about 2 years. And the reality with this is that the spectrum of how high you can go is how high your work ethic is and how much you're willing to actually, like, put into it. And the reality when you actually have a plan of, like, this is the thing you need to do, James, like X, Y, Z, here's the system to do it, these guys will help you do it one-to-one, it's then very difficult to fuck it up. It just comes down to actually doing the thing. And why people don't see success when they try and do things themselves, they have no actual certainty in anything. Because, like, I don't know if this is going to work. But if we give you something like this works for all of these other people here, it works in our own business, you then have certainty, which then means you take the action. And that's where people have the wrong mindset when it comes to, like, what money's for. Money's for to spend, to get skills, to make more money. And people always worry about, like, what it will cost, but it's what it will cause. I've personally spent over $250,000 on masterminds, mentors, all this type of stuff, and it's made me millions on the back end of it. And I will reap the rewards for that for the next 30, 40, 50 years of my life.
Yeah.
And this is what people don't understand, is that what you're essentially buying from people is, like, the 7-8 years of pain, problems, and bullshit that I've had to go through to learn all this stuff in a fucking box. Here you go. Here's the people who help you do it. It's the shortcuts. And if I had me to help me, I'd be frightened to think where I am now. But the reality is I didn't. And that's why, for me, my true value is, like, how can I help other people achieve financial freedom like I have through fitness and building online businesses? Because we live in a world right now where, like, anything is possible. And I also would caveat, though, with, in my opinion, the window is actually closing a bit on that because of changes with technology, with AI. You have to be able to do this quickly within the next year or two. Otherwise, it will get harder and harder. And the question I would say is that people say the market's too saturated. There's a lot of trainers online. Okay, there's 25 times more millionaires in the United States than there are people with abs. So there's a lot of people who have a lot of money who have a big pain point and a problem. And
Wow.
do people like spending money to solve big problems? Yes.
That's your saying, isn't it? You always say that. And that's why I kind of got my kid into more coaching.
That's exactly the type of thing. I almost got emotional when you said that, because that's the type of thing that I look forward to doing.
Yeah, and
I
it's
want
kind
to
of
groom him to be like an athlete.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I think you say this all the time. When you've got money, you can solve problems. You know, how can I solve this problem? And if you've got money, you can solve that problem.
I'll give the best example is my Instagram account last weekend. My Instagram account gets disabled. For anyone else, you're fucked. Okay, cool. The two things that solve that, people and money. So I know someone who can get the account back. I just have to pay him to get the account back. That's it. Wait 3 days, boom, account's back, sorted. And also that's the value of the network of the people you hang around. So say for example, our clients, it's happening to quite a lot as well. It's like, don't worry, James, just message this dude, he'll sort it out for you. Yeah. 2-3 days later, your business is solved.
I saw the conversations going on in there.
What's the value of that? And this is also where people are like, yeah, I don't need coaching, I'm right. It was like, people come to you sometimes for coaching, but they're already fucked. I'm like, dude, you probably should have come to us when you were in a better position, because your mindset's in a better place. You're now asking us to try and solve the Titanic that's fucking
sinking.
That's on the bottom of the fucking ocean, and now get it back up again. And a lot of that comes down to the entrepreneur's mindset. And something I really think about a lot is that when it's easy, lean in, do more, work more. Whereas human nature is oh, this is really fucking easy. I'm gonna kick back and go fucking sunbathe this afternoon and chill out. And that's why so many people get comfortable in their businesses, and most people get comfortable. They make 10, 12K a month. They're like, hey, I'm good. I can live in Dubai, I don't pay any tax, I can have a nice apartment. I was like, okay, that's cool, but then it's not really life-changing. You've got no money to invest. You can't really go where you want. I'm going to California on Monday. It's costing 15 grand for 2 people to fly their business class and back. There and back. Can't do shit like that. The reality is you don't really have the freedom you want, and also you're telling yourself a lie, because when one of your family members gets sick, or you've got a big problem that you want to solve, you then can't. And then you'll look back and think, fuck, I really wish I'd taken this more seriously. Yeah,
and I agree with you, man. That's some strong points there. Like I was saying to the listeners earlier, being part of your community, I get to see this firsthand. So I know it's no bullshit. And I want to go on to bullshit and social media in a minute. But one thing I do want to say, using 𝗬𝗲 as an example now, and then using some people in your coaching program, like you say, make 15,000 a month or 20,000 a month, there's a massive difference, because this girl, she's something else. And when I sat with her, the first thing she said to me, she goes, James, there's no Rolex, there's no Hermes bag, there's no designer gear. She goes, there's a Nissan Sunny outside that's busted up. She goes, but one thing I have is work ethic, and I'm hustling, and I know exactly where I'm going. She came in as a 24-year-old who bought a 2-bedroom apartment for me, and she was in the position to pay this cash outright, and for me that was phenomenal. And sitting with her, I just thought, this is someone who thinks exactly like I do. And then on the flip side, I've met people from the program that are earning 50 grand, 40 grand, and they have no money, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And suddenly when they turn up, the rollies there, the designer clothes are there, there's a nice car outside. So it makes perfect sense what's going on here. And these are both people that are on your program. And this girl, I know she takes some serious action, because I remember sitting behind her at the first show, and as you were speaking, she had her laptop open. I could see Canva. She's making a Black Friday sale thing. She's got a constant contact list out, and she's emailing. And I'm thinking, he only said that 2 minutes ago, and you've fucking done it already. And there's other people chatting, making notes, and I'm thinking, there's the clue. That's why that girl is so successful. And the fact, I remember when you gave her an award for 137, and the month's not even over, and you're saying she's almost at 160. Wow.
It's funny you say that, because it reminds me of the first mastermind I went to in America. I learned something similar to what I was teaching then. And I was literally in the fucking room, making the thing, whilst I learnt it, and I literally posted it before I'd even out the room. And that's where success leaves clues. It's speed of implementation and messy action. And by means, I'm not perfect. I've fucked up so many things and made so many mistakes. But I fail fast. So that didn't work. Bang, that works. Boom, we win. Whereas most people are oh, it didn't work. I can't do it. I posted 7 times in a row, and no one's liked my post, or I haven't got many new followers. I was good, do more, make it better, because that's the reality. And I think if you look at I know when I speak to someone if they're going to be very successful or not by the questions they ask and the way they think. And that's, for me, I think why I enjoy coaching people with their business so much.
What are some of the success questions that people ask then?
They don't doubt what we do. Is that they want to know more about like the details in terms of like tracking, how do I review everything, like more of the intricacies of like numbers-based stuff.
Right.
And they have bigger goals. Like if someone comes to me, they want to make an extra $5,000 a month. I'm like, dude, like you need to make way more than this. I'll give an example. I had someone who was making, I think 14, 15K. He's like, yeah, in a year I want to get to 20. I was like, dude, that's retarded. I was like, you need to be making at least 40, 50K a month by next year. Like, because with online businesses, that's quite easy to do. And like my own fitness business went from maybe 40, 50K a month to maybe 150 to 200 in 12 months. So like it can be done very quickly. But the biggest thing you see is they're very decisive. They don't question things. They're fucking chips on the table. They're all in. They generally will pay for things up front. They're not like, oh, can you split up the payments? Like people pay attention, and always the people who are like, yeah, I'm in, like bang. I'll give you, actually, Leah's the best example ever, right? So when I used to take a lot of sales calls, I used to do like what's called a 2-call close. So we would do 2 calls. I literally, like, she was on a call, and I was like trying to get her to a next call, and she's like, you can do that, Charlie, but to be honest, I just want to sign up and pay now. I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, fuck.
I'm good at this.
Yeah, but that's an example in terms of like her as an example of someone who's very decisive.
Yeah. Because
she's in, like, I fucking even speak to her, she was in.
Yeah.
Because she knew how good we were at
Dude,
what we
she
do.
was the same when she bought the property. She looked at it. She goes, I need time to think about it. She got in her car. She goes, yeah, I'll have it.
But I'm to be fair, this is why I see myself a lot in her, because I'm the same. I bought a Ferrari the other week, and I haven't had it delivered yet. I knew before I even fucking left the house I was going to buy it, because I'm that type of person. Like if I turn up, I'm in. Like, because I don't like browse. Like even when I first bought a house in the UK, it was like the fucking first house I looked at. I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, done. Because I know just looking at the details online, yeah, that's what I want. And I think people who are very decisive think like that. Whereas the biggest thing that kills people is indecision, like indecisiveness, because you're not making a decision and procrastinating is actually making a decision. And that's the thing that's delaying you from achieving your dreams. Because by the time you've actually made a decision 4 months later, I've made 3 mistakes and then made the right decision.
Absolutely.
And I'm fucking 4 years ahead of you at that point.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Wow. Moves me nicely onto my next question, actually. So you've actually bought a Ferrari. Okay. Which one did you buy?
Ferrari 488.
Oh,
it's white, Spider, like convertible. It's in white. I might keep it white for a while, and then I'm going to wrap it in this cool like red colour.
Yeah, man, get it branded up with your gear on it. Yeah. Okay, so you've bought your Ferrari. I want to take the Ferrari. I want to talk about social media, and I want to talk about all these guys out there that give coaching a bad name. Obviously, it's very easy for somebody to come to Dubai, rent a car, have 6-7 different outfits, do a shoot on the beach, do a shoot here, say, follow me, I can make you a crypto millionaire. Are you seeing more and more of that in your space?
I see that in the fitness space. I see it in the business space. The world is smoke and mirrors, and that's why I think that long-form content like this is so valuable, because I know as soon as I speak to someone if they know what they're talking about or not, if it's bullshit. Like I'll give a great example. I remember a guy who I met who is in my industry. He's a fitness business coach. His fitness business is shit. He's got no followers. I've never really seen much of him. His content's just generally shit. Like filmed on fucking iPhones, and it's just like looks like it's filmed on Zoom. And I remember when I first met him, he said, yeah, I've got 7 businesses. I was like, you have 7 businesses? I was like, no one who's fucking successful has 7 businesses. Like, Elon Musk has 2, right? But like, generally, that just doesn't happen unless you're worth fucking hundreds of millions. Dude's clearly not. And when someone has to constantly tell you about how much money they're making, shit like that, I'm like, that's a front. So the big red flag for me is like, has the person actually done the thing that like I want to do? And 99.9% of the time it's no. It's like even in our industry, it's like people helping people make money online. Has the person actually had a fitness business or a business online helping people make money other than just selling how to make money online? No. It's like I said to you before the podcast, like I saw on Facebook in a group on the way here, someone posted a comment in a group about asking if there was a mastermind to teach someone how to sell business coaching. I was like, dude, so you're trying to, and he's like, oh, I'm really good at mindset. I was like, so if you're really good at mindset, but you're shit at business, why are you teaching people how to build a business? And it's literally like the blind leading the blind. And the same thing in terms of like, I wouldn't take a fitness advice from someone who's not in shape, who's overweight. I wouldn't take financial advice from someone who's broke. like I take property advice from you because you've got a long history in property and you understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you've never fucking bought a house before, I wouldn't listen to you because I didn't fucking know what he's doing.
Sure.
Because he hasn't got skin in the game himself. And the same thing for us in terms of like Facebook ads. I spent $1 million plus on Facebook ads. So like anyone has a question, I'm like, yeah, here's my ad account. See like hundreds of thousands to spend on this account, hundreds of thousands to spend on this account. I'm like, I have skin in the game with this as well. Same thing as like, I really like crypto. I've got $1 million worth of crypto.
Yeah.
Like if anyone asks, I'll tell them what I think, but I also have skin in the game. Like I'm fucking in. So like if it fucks up, I'm in with you. I'll just tell you what I do. And that's the best coaches just show from their own experience and
Very
what they're actually doing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like full transparency. And that's why like I really like my like YouTube channel I'm building, because it's literally, I just show people like raw, authentic, this is what I do every day. This is what I do with my money. This is like buying properties from James, buying crypto, like training, business tips, all that type of stuff, because it's like, this is the honest truth and anyone can see.
Actually, those reels we did, they did really, really well for me. Like they did better than the other ones where we're talking about real estate. And
it's just prime example. Like that's where you can very quickly look into someone and see if they're legit. The only thing I would say is that we don't have any bad reviews, but I have seen like bigger other companies have bad reviews. If you Google Apple, you're gonna get bad reviews. Google Samsung, you get bad reviews.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily take one person's word for it, but like message people who are on those people's programs or clients of them. If they have success stories who are similar to you, then they'll be able to help you as well.
Sure. Yeah, because I feel like being in the property space, that's where you see a lot of coaches. Generally what tends to happen is when property goes shit in the UK, everybody becomes a coach or they've got a coaching program. And that really worries the hell out of me.
Is that to help people invest in property?
Yes, when the market shit.
So I never understand how that even fucking works.
Yeah.
What they actually teach you? Find new deals?
No. Oh, no, actually they will. It's the same shit. They'll say, okay, this is how you source, which is generally some kind of system they've built to go onto Rightmove or Zoopla. This is how you analyze a deal. This is how you stack a deal. But what they're not telling people is, at the moment, a lot of that shit isn't working. But they're trying to sell them a system. They're telling them the system that does work if the market was good. And that really worries me, because I had a friend of mine who's in the car industry message me the other day. And he goes, oh, James, yeah, I've been doing really well. I've got a lot of money stacked away, but I just don't know where I'm going with this property thing. He goes, so I've signed up to your mate's coaching program. I'm like, dude, why do you need that? Like, you've told me what figure you want to hit in the month. Jump on a call with me for an hour, 2 hours, and I can show you how long it's going to take you to get to that figure in the UK, and I can show you how quickly you can get to that figure in Dubai. He goes, well, I've never been to Dubai. I don't really understand it. I go, dude, the goal is the same. You want to earn that 10K a month. I can show you it's going to take you X amount of buy-to-lets here in the UK, or you go 5-6 properties in Dubai with the same amount of money and you do the same goal. So I think people almost look to coaches when they don't know what they're, not that they don't know what they're doing, but they think that person might be able to solve all of their problems when they don't even know what the actual problem is at the moment.
Well, I think a lot of the people don't actually know what they really want to achieve in the first place. So the first thing I always ask people, and they're always dumbfounded, like if I was going to take a call with someone, I'd be like, okay, James, so like, how much money do you want to make? Like, what do you want to make in 3 months? What do you want to make a year? What do you want to make in 3 to 5 years? Do you want to have kids in the next 2-3 years? Like, where do you want to live? And then a lot of them are like,
Don't know.
well, this is where you start, because from the way my autistic brain works is, okay, cool, we reverse engineer back from there. If you want to fucking have a 7-figure business, you want to go all in, you want to do everything, and you want to move to Dubai, I'm like, cool, like this is the route we go. If you want to make 30 grand a month, you want to stay in the UK and you want to have a family, you want to have a stable lifestyle, then this is the route we go. And it all depends of like, what's the outcome you're looking for? Like,
Sure.
And what problem are we solving? Whereas most people don't actually think enough about like, where am I going and why? And like, even this morning, talk about journal, I sat down and I thought like, okay, so what's the goal I want by the end of the year? How much money do I want? What do I want my finances to look? And I'm like, cool. So like, these are the things I want. If I just continue at this rate, then I will achieve that. Then what do I need to do? Is just make sure I keep ticking these boxes, and I will get there with time to exactly where I want to be.
Sure.
And when you know that, then like, okay, if you have a slow week, a slow month, you just got to fucking get the momentum back up and keep going. And I think too many people just don't know where they're going, and they need that fucking map of like, okay, they need to be helped to identify what the goal is they fucking want,
Yeah.
and then shown how to get there.
Absolutely.
And when you can show someone that, like I see it a lot, it's like the fucking light bulb goes off in their head, like, fuck, that's really simple. And like if you look at fitness businesses, it's pretty much any online business. It comes to booking calls and closing calls. You get lead, book them in for a sales call, you close them on a sales call. That's basically it in basic terms. Rinse and repeat, as many as you can.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're right where you say you have to reverse engineer it, because I see all these in the real estate industry here in Dubai. You see all these adverts. Oh, do you want to earn £300,000 a year? Do you want to earn £400,000 a year? And all these brokers are like, yeah, I do. But the reality of it is, you don't understand. You're not working it backwards. You need to know, okay, I want to hit £300,000. What does that look like in terms of commissions that I need to bank? How much do I need to do? If a real estate company is giving you false hope and saying you can earn 1 million dirhams a year or 2 million dirhams a year, but they're not telling you, okay, you need to sell 5 properties a month and earn 5% or 4% commission from those, then they're not giving you the whole truth. You know, it's all good putting a figure in the air, but how do I go and fucking get that shit? How do I need to get there? What do I do? What are the steps that I need to do?
And that's where business is a numbers game. Like I know for like, say, our 7-figure scaling systems, our goal is we need to sign up 5.5 clients a week and then we hit our end of year goal. So like, that's all I focus on.
Yeah, yeah. 7-figure scaling system. What's that all about? I know what it's about.
Everything in life is a system. So like the way you actually achieve freedom in life is with structure. Most people think structure is like a prison and actually takes it away from them. The reality is like, if you know what to do, when to do, and how to do it, that's the system, and that's ideally a repeatable system. That gives you the freedom, and that's the big thing that we focus on with 7-figure scaling systems, is giving this to people of like, here's all the stuff we do in our own business. Here's literally like copy and paste systems, basically. Here's people who can help you actually do it one-to-one and do it with you. And that's where I think a lot of people struggle, is they need accountability.
Sure.
And that's why I work with loads of coaches myself, because I like accountability. Because I like to prove to someone like, oh yeah, I'm really fucking good at what I do. So like, watch this. And I'll give an example. When I first joined a mastermind in 2020, maybe, I remember being given a load of tasks, and literally I was like, yeah, done, next day I'm done. They're like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, because like for me, it's like how quick I wanted to prove a point. And I think that's where being competitive is a really important thing. And one of my highest values is competition. I enjoy being competitive, whereas like the world we live in now is so fucking soft and weak of like, oh, like I heard, I think it might have been in Germany, they're not allowed to count fucking goals and playing kids football now because it's like unfair and too competitive and kids lose. And like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. You're either a winner or a loser.
Yeah, because when you come to real life, you're going to get fucking smashed because no one gives a shit.
Absolutely.
And that's where they're setting people up for failure. But I think my big thing with what we teach is to help give you the success as easily as possible by not letting you hit the proverbial icebergs that maybe I've hit. And some of the best ways I like to teach is in terms of like, what's important a lot of the time is we tell you not to do as well as to do. Because you can go off here and do the wrong fucking shit for a long period of time. Like I see a lot of people get lured in with maybe like LinkedIn ads or fucking Snapchat or YouTube ads or all this bullshit that it's like difficult to execute. Can it work? Yes. Is there loads of other things that are way simpler that you can execute that are going to make you more money that have less risk? Yes. So like maybe you do these things, you rinse those for as much as possible, and then you can go on to other things. Whereas everyone's looking for like the silver bullet, like red shiny object.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, look, like I said earlier on, I've had the privilege of being at the events, and you know, I'm called in to do a speech or speak about real estate. And one thing I find myself doing is attending both days with a notebook, and I know by the end of that day, them 2 days, that notebook's going to be full with stuff. And I think myself and Justin might be the only two people that are in that room that are not in the fitness space, right?
So Justin's a client of ours now.
Yeah, I know. He said. So me and Justin have stayed in regular contact, and that just goes to show that he's from recruitment, I'm from real estate, and we're taking massive value from a program that's been designed for online fitness coaches.
And this is where I actually think the fitness industry is really far ahead of any other industry on online marketing. And that's why, like, part of me was tempted, like, the red shiny object. Like, maybe we're going to start a real estate business, because if I put all this shit that I knew over here into another vehicle that has potentially much bigger outcome, like, that could get me to 100 million quicker than fucking this. I was like, but that's for another time. But that's a reality of, like, when you take these principles that work in this one industry and you apply them to other industries that have higher upside potentials, it's like game over, because it's an unfair competitive advantage because no one else is doing it, because everyone has the old school mentality still.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And before I wrap it up on the coaching side of things, look, if anybody's listening, you can take it from me, someone who's not even in this space. of how much value I've got from it, and people like Justin who are taking value from it. And you can see his content is changing, his strategy is changing, and we're constantly talking about this because we're old school and we're trying to go into something new school. So it's always good to take this. But 100% I can vouch for Charlie's coaching program. Secondly, I've seen his client success in the sense that I've not only seen numbers, I've seen these guys come in and buy real estate from me, which is huge because I know many personal trainers in the UK that don't own shit. They have a leased car, they don't own property because on that amount of money, you can't earn property. If you're training 10 clients a day, it's physically impossible to get to that figure. So I think anyone interested in this, what should they do?
If you just drop me a message at Charlie Johnson Fitness on Instagram, just say listen to the podcast with James. Just say who you are, what you want to do, and then we can have a chat.
Take it from there. Oh, wicked. Okay. Charlie, next question. How much would you say your Instagram account's worth? As if you had to put a monetary value on it, because people always have this whole dilemma. They're like, oh yeah, Instagram is just bullshit. You post a load of shit. There's no value. You don't make no money from it. And you clearly make a shit ton of money from it.
I reckon from my one Instagram account, I've probably made $6-7 million maybe.
Jesus.
I would say over 4 or 5 at least, like, to be honest. But then if you look at the long-term perspective of that, and that account's a bit fucked now anyway because it's been disabled twice, so like the reach is a bit ropey on it. But still it has so much value in terms of like the amount of people view the stories and the stuff on that. So it's like, people don't understand also that that wasn't an overnight success. I have a look, I think I've posted like 7,000 times on Instagram. My fitness podcast, we've got maybe 400 episodes. Our business podcast has got maybe 150 or something now. Like, these things aren't things that just happened overnight. It's taking time to do it. And the most powerful thing you can get is a compound effect.
Yeah.
Like, you give value to people, you do it for a long period of time, people know, like, and trust you, they end up then giving you money. I'll give you an example. A guy literally messaged me yesterday to join a mastermind, but like, hey, Charlie, it's time, I'm in. Like, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
Like, a guy I've probably known for 3-4 years. And that is the power of brand, where people just see your shit all the time, the results you have, you clearly know what you're doing, they know, like, and trust you. They're literally like, they fucking, like, take my money.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you spend time and actually try and help people and give them value. And, like, my big thing is, like, I speak the truth and tell the facts, and I have just give open house information to anything anyone wants, because I know they take value from that, then they'll come back to me when they want to, like, get to the next level.
Sure. It's weird you say that, because I had that with one of your clients that I've been working on for a while. I won't mention any names, but we've been back and forwards, payment plans, options, lots of time, you know. And I quite like just giving people the information, because when they're ready, they're ready. And I thought I was being ghosted for a while. And then suddenly out of the blue, the message drops, similar like it did last night, like, I think I'm ready to do this. I need to discuss with you the next steps. And you think, if I told this guy to go and fucking do one, you time waster, which sometimes in your head, you do think, is this guy wasting my time? Or is it just a big decision? Or maybe he's not quite ready. So I don't tell anybody to do one, unless they really are wrong, you know. But just goes to show that you give them the value, they're constantly watching your story, you're giving them information about the product they want to buy. So, you know, they're seeing it through your story, you're doing posts about it, you're sharing figures. And then when the time's right, because they know, like, and trust you, they'll come back to you. And they could have gone to a million other people.
And that's, what's that come back to? What we said earlier is trust. So people want to deal with people they know and they trust. Because we live in a world which people are trusting each other less, and there's less connection. And that's the most important thing, is if people believe in you, and also that a lot that can come from authority of the networks you're involved with. Like, they would trust you because they know that I bought properties from you.
Sure.
And that's a big thing I say to everyone, is like, anyone who I bring into our network is like someone I know personally who I have dealt with, so I would be happy to recommend them. And that's the most important thing for anyone to, like, take away from this, is that if you ever recommend anyone for anyone else, it's like, that's a reflection on you if it doesn't work. And that's an important thing to understand, that your reputation can, like, compound for you or against you, which is why the most important thing for me is, like, client results in our business, because I know that's a force multiplier going forwards. Whereas I know a lot of people have got shitty businesses that are like course 90-day accelerator models that just burn people, and then what happens at that back end of that, they get a bad reputation, and that's like a negative force multiplier that's going to slow them down. And the reality is, if you've got everyone to know, like, and trust you, just refer all their friends, which is how a lot of our stuff's grown, you then just crush it.
Yeah, yeah. How important do you feel social media is today in terms of business getting known?
The most important thing right now, because marketing always comes first. And if no one knows you, they can't give you the money. And best known beats best. So,
I was just going to come on to that.
If everyone knew James in Dubai is the property man, you're the fucking first person to go to, you'd sell more fucking places than anyone.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, who's the first person in mind you think of? Cool, this person, cool, I'm going to message him. Like, I don't know, what's the first sport brand you think of? In my head, Nike, best known.
Yeah.
So like, Nike, I want to wear trainers, I want a pair of Nike trainers. Like, that's the way you think. And you think of, I don't know, steak restaurant, Nusrat maybe, I don't know. Like, whatever you think of first, that's probably the most powerful brand, it's best known, and that's what's going to end up being the most successful, because who they think of first is who they're generally going to go to. And that takes awareness, so that can be social media content, it can be paid ads, reputation of clients you've worked with, word of mouth is incredibly powerful. So the most powerful thing for anyone to do who's a business owner is content, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And the way I almost think of, like, Instagram is almost like your new business card. Like, this is who I am, this is what I do. People are instantly like, fuck, okay, this person's legit. Like, you just know straight away.
Yeah, yeah. I love that quote, man. Best known beats best. I mean, I actually sent you a picture yesterday.
Yeah.
So we've decided to, on our podcast wall or our content recording wall, is to have that as a neon sign. Because I just thought, I need to see that constantly in front of my face when I'm producing content. Because if I can refer to that and it's there going into that brain every single day, I'm going to be producing content.
I don't know why I thought this. Ironically, I think back to when I was a estate agent. I nearly started my own estate agent. If I maybe went into that and also did the social media thing at the same time as the way I had in fitness, that would have been interesting to see how that turned out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
You would have disrupted a space there. Wow. Well, man, lots to think about. So, social media, hate on social media. I've been experiencing recently a lot of racist hate, which hate I really don't give a monkeys about. And, you know, I grew up in the late 80s and 90s where with racism you dealt with it with your fist, you know, you just had a fight, put it to rest. But now keyboard warriors can really go deep. And it doesn't normally bother me, but what's bothering me a little bit about it at the moment is I'm thinking, dude, we live in 2024. Just because I got brown skin, I've been a UK resident longer than you. I probably pay more tax a year than your family earns in a lifetime. And you're telling me about fuck off back to Pakistan, or you greasy fucking grot bag, you Pakistani, I'm thinking, it's making me kind of laugh.
So you get comments like that on Instagram?
Yeah.
And so this is what's fucking retarded, right?
I had one, you fat packy.
This is how these fucking social media platforms work. My account gets disabled for breaching of whatever, I don't know, whatever the fucking happened. Yeah, fucking degenerates can do that. But also what happens to me, people comment shitty stuff on my thing, and I go to reply, and it says, so-and-so can't be mentioned in comments.
Oh yeah, that's
so you can't even fucking reply to them.
Yeah. You're that much of a pussy that I can't even at you.
And I'm like, fuck's sake. And it's like, it's almost a weird one. I had someone actually today who commented on my post being like, why is there no black people on your page? I'm like, what the fuck has that got to do with anything? I'm like, and this is where I think the world's fucking lost its marbles in terms of like the wrong things are being filtered and the things that shouldn't happen like aren't actually being stopped or nothing's happening about it.
Yeah.
It's just fucking retarded. I think Twitter's now got a much better approach in terms of dealing with that. I tell you, a platform that's really bad is YouTube. You get a lot of shitty comments on that. But I just think it's funny. And one thing I look at is that like, if someone's willing to take time out of their day to comment something fucking negative for my shit, I was like, more for you. Yeah. Also, it helps me in the algorithms. I'm like, cool, dude, like, keep commenting.
Yeah, because I had this one post. Okay, granted, it was about the UK, but it had 900 comments. I've never had that before, you know, and it's close to 1 million views now. I've had 2 guys that have arranged a fight on there, on the comments. I'm coming to your house, I know where you live in Essex. I'm going to come and beat you up. I'm going to shoot your mum and all sorts. And then I've got a load of racist comments against me saying, yeah, we don't even want you packy fuck off out the UK and all of this. And I'm thinking, okay. And I was told by my social media guy, he goes, let them keep commenting. He goes,
100%.
But every so often, I just want to go in there and get a snidey comment in. And I think, it's fucked because I can't even comment back to you, like, you know. And I spoke to Nick about it the other day, Big Nick, and I go, Nick, you know what? It's eating at me a little bit. It's starting to wind me up a little bit. And he's like, James, what the fuck's wrong with you? He goes, these guys probably ain't got a pound in their back pocket. They can't even come out to Dubai. That's probably why they're so fucking frustrated. He goes, and people like me that have spent several millions of pounds with you still love your content and love what you're doing. So he's like, put that shit aside, man, and just crack on.
It's a sign of success when people hate on you. And I think same thing with like people who move to Dubai who don't like Dubai, they move back because they can't afford to live here.
A simple fact.
That's it. No disrespect, you were a teacher, but what I was about to say is like a lot of them come here, don't take it the wrong way, anyone's a teacher, but it's like shitty jobs to a teacher. Anyone who's a teacher, you probably wouldn't be doing that by choice. There's probably a million other things you'd rather do. You come in here, you're a teacher, you don't earn enough money to really live in Dubai, so then you live in fucking middle of the desert probably, everything's too expensive, and like, fuck, this is shit. And that's why then people slate Dubai, whereas like, if you actually are not that's the wrong type of person to live here, but like, if you come here with the right means and you're in the right stage of your life, it's a wonderful place to live.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe actually you being a teacher in the UK maybe works better for you because you're not getting fucked. You don't pay as much tax. You don't have all the problems. You're actually supported more by the state, which is maybe what you need. And maybe you should stay in the UK.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe that's another topic. But maybe society is supposed to divide. Where maybe all the rich people move to the fucking Middle East, which is happening.
Yeah.
Don't pay any tax. We can live very luxurious lives and hang out with the best people in the world. And all the degenerate people stay in the UK. Maybe that's an argument for another time.
Yeah.
But like, I think there is a global shift of people moving from Europe to the Middle East. Even if you look at like Saudi as well, and wealth moving there. Like they've got, I think I don't know what it is. My friend told me there's like the biggest basketball, like world championships for basketballs in fucking Abu Dhabi this weekend.
Wow.
So like the US teams here, all that type of stuff. Cristiano Ronaldo plays in the Saudi fucking Premier League. Like.
He's got a home here now as well?
Yeah, it's the writings on the wall where the world's like gravitating to because of the almost like bullshit of the politics of Europe. Whereas if you look at why Dubai works so well, and the Middle East as a whole, one person makes a decision, the fucking thing happens. In the UK, you've got a puppet prime minister who's in charge for 2-3 years, can't really get anything done, and then the next person fucking in trying to fucking deal with the aftermath from before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a very inefficient system that hemorrhages money.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to have to touch on that teaching point because my wife's a teacher. So she'll kill me if I don't touch on it. Now, obviously, she's a very
successful husband.
Yeah, she's a very experienced teacher. So she's not gone in at like, base rate here. So thing that works really well for us as a family out here, we've got a real estate business that pays us every month. So we could live here without having a job. But my wife, fantastic science teacher, she loves teaching. She loves teaching children and seeing that click moment happen, and she's phenomenal at the grades she gets for kids. Now for us it works really, really well because we've come out here, she's gone and got a job and she's negotiated in her package that the kids will be educated as part of her job. And we're looking at this thinking, if we were back home, that's £50,000 a year worth of education that's just been paid. So although the salary might not be the greatest, it's pretty decent.
The benefits of it are good,
The benefits that she's been able to negotiate. And I said to her, fuck, man, you just saved us a fuckload of money because...
10 years, that's $500,000.
Exactly. Not only have you got the kids A1 education based off of your skills, you've gone in there and you've got them into a fantastic school. So for us, teaching is just a little springboard because we've already got the base there. And now with me, with the real estate company... and her doing what she's doing, teaching works really good for us. So I had to just touch on it, but I know what you mean. There's certain people that come out here, they'll earn really bad money. They'll have to live in Barsha Heights somewhere.
I'll give you an example. The more people I'm talking to is like, I see like young Irish girls moving out here at like 24 to become teachers.
Yeah.
Who would then slate it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. See, at the start of your career, I would say, no, it's probably a wrong move. Because Dubai is an evil place, man. It will chew you up and spit you out if you haven't got money in your back pocket.
Why do you think that is?
I feel they want to keep it to a certain level.
With the type of people here?
Yeah. I feel they want to keep...
They don't want a middle class.
No. They want a certain caliber of person coming in here. Either you're shit hot at the work that you do in your career, in your profession, or you're really going to add some value when you come over and do something. And if you set up a business here, you soon realize that there's a lot of costs that go into it. I mean, for us yesterday, like, we had to have some AML registration done, and that was like 15,000 dirhams just for the subscription for the software. And you're thinking, okay, they don't tell you about that. But I feel when a business registers here, the country itself gains from all the fees that you're having to pay, your licensing that you're having to pay. But it separates the losers from the people that really want to do well.
And it's cheaper than paying tax in Europe. And that's there are a lot of fees here. I think the other drawback for anyone who has online businesses, the payment processes here aren't very good and the banks are terrible.
Yeah.
Like, this fucking night, I have a nightmare with banks at the moment, but it's...
starting to get better?
Yeah. I'll give you 2 examples. I needed 6 months worth of bank statements from my accountant for 3 years worth of bank statements for auditing my business accounts here. You can't get them online. I have to go into the branch myself, literally like that, 3 years business accounts in paper, that I then take to the accountant's like, bang, here you go, have fun, see you later.
It's a joke, right?
And then my bank account here has been flagged because I transferred a load of money into it from all over the place to buy this car. And then they're now asking for fucking everything under the sun of bullshit. I'm like, why? It's your own money from my own accounts where it says my name is coming from to me.
Yeah.
And I think things like that here are a little bit backwards, but then I look at the banks in the UK just as bad.
Yeah. You go to a bank in the UK, try and withdraw 10 grand. They're going to ask you a million questions, right? Your own money. Oh, sorry, sir, we don't have that. Can you come back at 2:00 this afternoon?
Yes. That's why I'm a big believer in crypto, because it's complete freedom. It's there's no transaction limit on how much you can fucking spend, how much someone can send you. It's the way consumerism and commerciality should be.
Yeah. I think it's only going to get better. Yeah.
Well, it's been better in the 2-3 years I've been here.
Yeah.
It's westernized a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I always say to people, if you're coming to Dubai, again, coming back to the comments, oh, well, Lisa, women can go out and walk on their own. I'm like, mate, women can do whatever they want here. It's not as if it's
you actually can't do that in London, though.
Well, absolutely.
Women can't walk around on their own at night.
Yeah.
It's actually the other way around. You have more freedom here than you do in the UK.
Yeah. I posted something on the other day, and it was the number of percentage of women that sit in government jobs or high or influential positions. And guy comments back, he goes, because Dubai was at the top, and he goes, but what qualification have these women got? I bet they're just wives of sheikhs and all this. And I'm thinking, and then I'm looking at his profile, and he's some retard who goes fishing, drinking Holston pills on the weekend. I'm thinking, you're not in any position to be commenting about shit like this. I think the people that can't afford to come here or just have a loser lifestyle are the ones that hate the most.
But it's the same type of people who will give you negative comments on social media, because the people who can't give negativity to the people who can. Yeah. Because someone else who's successful has respect for someone else who is, because they know what it takes to do that. It just doesn't happen by luck. It's a hard thing.
Sure. Charlie, let me ask you something before we wrap this up. Have you ever asked your parents if they're proud of what you're doing now?
I haven't, but I probably should.
What's your relationship like with your parents?
Probably quite distant, because I feel they don't understand me. My parents are slightly older. So my dad's 76, my mum's 67.
Okay.
So they're a bit older and very different generation. So it's they don't really understand what I do and how I do it. They'll say to me, oh, it's amazing all this shit you're doing. But it's they don't really see that yet. And I think probably for me, for a long time, I was chasing success to get praise. Yeah. And then I never really got it. So I just kept fucking going. And I think it's because they're from an old school generation where that's not really the type of thing they do, if that makes sense.
Sure. Have they been out here to see you in Dubai?
No, and that's something I've been trying to get them to do.
Is it a big no-no?
They're quite old, so they don't like flying and travelling. So to the point where I was like, look, I'll fly there. I will get you on a business class plane. I'll get on with you and bring you here and back, to the point where we have to fucking chaperone them. Yeah, but sure. I would like them just to experience it once, just to see what it's like, because I think for anyone who's never been to Dubai, the first time you come here, what the fuck is this place?
Futuristic, right?
Yeah, it's just white. I remember the first time I landed at the airport and I was driving around, I was literally what on earth is this place?
Where have I landed?
Yeah, literally, it's insane. And I think that would be something I would be very privileged to be able to have them experience.
Yeah. No, I think for me, obviously I've lost both my parents. And ironically, today marks the 3rd anniversary of losing my mum. And if you've listened to any of my podcasts previously, she was my biggest fan. She was my best friend. And it's weird because my successes I always used to like telling her about, because we had that kind of relationship because she was a fan. And today's one of those days where I'd really want to pick up the phone to her and just say, yo, mum, you know, we've started our own agency. And I know she would have been proud of that. And she's been to Dubai, but just to have her come out and stay with us for 6 months or 7 months and just enjoy the whole thing. I just feel like it's, as you get older in life, and death is one of those things. I think there's a few people that walk around who think death's never coming for them. But when you do lose your parents, it's a pace like, you know, if you've got questions that need to be asked or things that need to be settled, it's a thing that just plays on your mind for a very, very long time, you know. Like, for me, I had a very good relationship. I didn't, like, when she passed away, I'd spent a lot of time with her, so I knew, you know, everything I wanted to ask her or everything I wanted to know, I'd already known. But I just feel like when they have gone and you've got things that you want to ask them, like where you said you probably should, I just feel, yeah, maybe you should make that a bit of a priority, because the last thing I would ever want you to do is be like one of those guys who's like, oh, fuck, man, I should have listened to James. Like, I should have just rang them. I should have just said to them, you know what, fuck this. I'm getting you a jet. I'm flying you out here just so you can experience what I've done. But, yeah.
I think that's actually one of the reasons I'm spending 3 months in Marbella this summer is because they live there.
Okay.
So to actually like be more present and see them more, because I don't see them enough, to be fair.
Yeah. It's one of those things I just think, it's a big deal for me anyway. Right, before we wrap it up, Charlie, what is one bit of advice you would give to somebody who's at a point of their life where they just hate their life? You know, they're just like, I fucking hate my life. I've got a shit girlfriend or a boyfriend. My job's shit. Everything's just going wrong. Like, being gone through that journey of success and, you know, starting where you were, like you said, failed PT, gone into a state agency, and where you are now, what's one bit of advice you'd give to somebody listening who really just wants to change their shit around?
The first thing I'd say to anyone is get yourself in good shape, because that's the easiest thing you control. You control what you eat, you control what you do every day. And when you wake up and you look in the mirror in yourself and you see change and you see confidence, then it's like addictive, and then you start to get more self-belief and you get more pride in yourself. So that's the first thing I'd say anyone should underpin with. And then if you're in a position and you're not happy, the first thing I would do is like change the inputs of things coming into your brain. So like, what do you read? Who do you talk to? What do you listen to? Like, you have choice now to listen to some of the smartest people in the world. Like, listen to their content. And then the last thing I would do is like actually work out like where you want to go and what you want to do, and then try and think of some way to get you to that point. Whereas a lot of people, a framework I think about a lot is like, you can choose to suffer intensely now by like fixing the problem, or you can suffer the rest of your life, and it's your choice. No, some good advice there. I'm going to flip it personally on myself here now and put myself in the firing line. Why do you think someone like myself is successful in other areas of his life but hasn't been able to master the health and the fitness and the physical? Because you're not taking it serious enough and not putting enough pressure on yourself. I think the number one thing that men need is pressure and accountability, and I think if you have pressure on you, you have to do X, Y, Z. Like a bit like you said earlier, back against the wall, you'll fucking make it happen. So like, for me, that's the big thing. If like, even if you put like a statement on social media in fucking 12 months time, we have a fucking six pack, and you put it out there globally, people can be like, well, you're gonna look like a fucking twat if you don't do it. If you don't do it, right? Yeah. A lot of times I'll say I'm gonna do something, and then I'm like, well, I have to fucking do it now. So I have to see it through. And I think that's the big thing a lot of people need, is something that's gonna make them commit. And when you physically say something into the outer world, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, it becomes a real thought, and then like, fuck, I need to then act on that. Yeah. Well, something to take away and think about. So before we wrap it up, Charlie, next event, when is it, and how can people attend the event? So we have our next event, it's actually going to be in Marbella, so we've got a 2-day event there. It's the 28th and 29th of June. If anyone shoots me a message with the word Marbella, I can send you over details for that, but it's going to be a sick 2-day intensive event. We've also got Dorian Yates as a guest speaker, which is pretty cool. Oh, nice. And it's at the best hotel in Marbella as well. Okay, and then the one after that's in Dubai? One in Dubai will be mid-November. So if you're from the UK or anywhere like that, you've got no excuses, because it's only a short hop away. But look, if you want to connect with Charlie, I'm going to put all his contact details in the show notes. Not that you're going to need them, because you can just search his name and he'll come up. But Charlie, thank you so much for joining me, man. It's been a long time coming, and hopefully there's been some real value delivered to people from today's podcast. Yeah, pleasure. Thank you very much. No worries.